Hello and welcome back to the Trainers of the World Tournament Season 2. I'm your host, DeltaTDS, and today for match number 63, we've got a good match for you today. We've got the Hoenn champion Steven going up against the Pokemon Professor Sada. Now, like with Turo's team, we did substitute the Big Paradox Pokemon because we needed a bit of balancing, okay? And Sada decided to go with a Cyclizar, the present form of Koraidon, which is also her ace. But we do see that Steven has a Deoxys and a Registeel from his Pokemon Masters teams. Once these trainers are ready, we can begin Game 1 and see who's going to take the lead for match 63. Starting off with the Deoxys and Claydol, Sada starts off with Fluttermane and Cyclizar. Deoxys going Ally Switch, taking that Shadow Ball for Claydol, as Cyclizar goes for Sunny Day, boosting Fluttermane's speed, and Claydol goes for Trick Room, putting that speed against it. Psychic does 40% to Fluttermane, Knockoff does 38%, getting rid of the Choice Specs, Terra Blast does 14%, Shadow Ball does 56% to Claydol. Swapping out the Fluttermane for the Brute Bonnet, activating the Photosynthesis, Psychic doesn't affect it. Knockoff removes the Black Belt from that Cyclizar, Terra Blast takes out the Deoxys, and Steven sends out the Cradily now. Cradily going Terra Grass, Claydol goes Protect, Toxic badly poisons the Brute Bonnet, Cyclizar goes Shift Gear. Swapping out Claydol for the Registeel, Cradily goes Leech Seed, Seed Bomb does 17%, Dragon Rush misses the Cradily. Photosynthesis wears off on that Brute Bonnet. Trick Room disappears. Sunny Day disappears. Swapping out to the Armaldo, Registeel goes Protect. Dragon Claw or Dragon Rush misses again. Spore Lance into that Protect. Swapping out to Cradily, Cyclizar goes Terra Fighting, goes Terra Blast. Spore Lance on the Armaldo. Wow, it's like Koraidon never left. Swapping out to the Raging Bolt, Cradily goes Protect, Sucker Punch fails, Armaldo's asleep, Brute Bonnet will be taken out this turn if it stays in. Electro Web gonna slow down both of Steven's Pokemon. Seed Bomb does 39%, waking up the Armaldo, stopping Tantrum, takes out the Raging Bolt. Cradily uses Toxic on that Brute Bonnet, but it's already poisoned as it faints, making it now 5v4. Sada sends out the Fluttermane and the Great Tusk. Fluttermane less than a quarter of its health remaining. Aqua Drain into the Storm Drain, or Aqua Jet into the Storm Drain. Giga Drain takes out the Fluttermane. I don't know if that was intentional. I mean, it worked. Sada's gonna send out the Cyclizar, which could technically be the... What did I say that was again? Oh god. Cradily going Protect against that close combat. Cyclizar going Shift Gear. Stomping Tantrum doing 63% to Great Tusk. If Korai stands for Pass and Mirai stands for... Okay, hold on. Terra Blast takes out the Armaldo. Close combat takes out the Cradily. And it's now a 3v3. I'll say it in between matches. Dragon Rush finally lands on that Claydol. Close combat takes Registeel down to 10%. and Aggron the wall. Hell yeah. Mega evolves. Terra Blast goes into that protect. Close combat. That's not gonna do anything to the wall. Heavy Slam takes out the Great Tusk. And Sada sends out her last Pokemon, that Roaring Moon, with the booster energy. Terra Blast doing another third. Knockoff, not enough to take out the wall. Body Press takes out the Roaring Moon. And with 2 Pokemon remaining, Steven takes game number 1. They don't call him the wall for nothing. From Sada's side, we saw the terrifying Cyclozar with the black belt, and Sunny Day, Terra Blast, Shift Gear, and Dragon Rush. Like I said, it's like Koraidon never left. We saw the Choice Specs on the Flutter Mane, terrifying. We saw Spore on Brute Bonnet, Booster Energy on Roaring Moon, and then 1 to 3 moves on the rest of the Pokemon. From Steven's side, we saw the Mega Aggron, the leftovers on Registeel, the leftovers Terra Grass on Cradily, as well as all 4 moves. We saw Deoxys and then Trick Room on the Claydol. Okay, if Korai is Japanese for past and Mirai is Japanese for future, then Cyclozar is technically Genzaidon. Genzai meaning present. Do not quote me on that. I literally just went to Google Translate, typed in present, and then took whatever it gave me. Okay, I do not speak the language. I am no Japanese expert, but we are back on the field for game number 2. We can see a nearly identical team to game 1 for Sada, with the exception of that Slitherwing. And then from Steven, we can see the same team, I believe. It looks like the same team. Once these trainers are ready, we can begin game 2 and see if Steven moves on to round 3. Starting off with the Armaldo and the Deoxys, as Sada sends out the Raging Bolt and the Great Tusk. Deoxys going Ally Switch, dodging that Rock Slide, only hitting that Armaldo. Thunderbolt does a third to Deoxys. Stomping Tantrum does over half to Raging Bolt. Armaldo goes Terra Water, Aqua Jet does a third. Rock Slide does 12% to Deoxys. Knockoff gets rid of Raging Bolt's Assault Vest. Thunderbolt takes out the Armaldo. And Steven sends out the Claydol now. Using Ally Switch, both of Steven's Pokemon takes a little bit from that Rock Slide as Claydol sets up the Trick Room. Psychic takes out the Great Tusk. Thunderbolt doesn't take out the Deoxys as it goes for Recover. And Sada's gonna send out the Slitherwing. Claydol goes Protect. Using the Ally Switch, First Impression takes out the Deoxys. Thunderbolt hits that Protect, and the wall comes out here. Swapping out the Flutter Mane, the wall Mega Evolves. Heavy Slam takes out the Flutter Mane. Psychic does 19 to Raging Bolt. Thunderbolt does 60% to the wall. It's currently 4v4 right now, as Sada sends out the Genzaidon. That's what I'm going to call it. Thunderclap takes out the wall. Earth Power takes out the Raging Bolt. Cyclozar goes for Shift Gear. Trick Room ends. It's now 3v3. Sada sends out the Slitherwing. Steven sends out the Registeel. Cyclozar going Terrifying. Protect on the Claydol. U-turn plus Terra Blast takes out the Registeel. Slitherwing switching to that Roaring Moon, activating the Booster Energy. As Steven sends out the Cradily. Roaring Moon goes protect. Dragon Rush lands onto that Claydol as it goes for Trick Room, giving Steven's team a chance to move before they're taken out. Toxic lands on that Roaring Moon. Psychic does 80% to Cyclizar. Knockoff takes out the Claydol. Reveals the Covert Cloak. Terra Blast takes out Cradily. And Sada, with 3 Pokemon remaining, takes game number 2, which means we are going to a game number 3. We saw the Assault Vest on the Raging Bolt. We saw Booster Energy on Roaring Moon, and nothing really new from Sada's side. From Steven's side, we saw all 4 moves on the Claydol as well as the Covert Cloak. We saw Terra Water on the Armaldo, and nothing from the Registeel that game. And we are on the field for game number 3. And we can see a few different Pokemon now. We see the Walking Wake on Sada's team. And from Steven's team, we've got the Excadrill, the Aerodactyl, and the Carbink. Once these trainers are ready, we're going to see who's taking match number 63. Starting off with the Registeel and the Excadrill. Sada starts off with the Great Tusk and Slitherwing. Excadrill reveals to have the Air Balloon. Excadrill goes protect. Headlong Rush does 87% to Registeel. Close Combat lands into Excadrill's protect. Body Press does 30% to Great Tusk. Swapping out the Excadrill to Armaldo, Headlong Rush finishes off that Registeel. Close Combat does 81% to Armaldo, as Steven sends out the Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl Mega Evolving, Aqua Jet does 47% to Great Tusk. Dual Wing Beat takes out the Slitherwing. Headlong Rush does take out that Armaldo, making it 4v5 right now. Sada in the lead. Sada's gonna send out the Cyclizar. Steven's gonna send out the Carbink. Carbink goes Terra Water. Dual Wing Beat takes out the Cyclizar. Headlong Rush does 40% to Carbink. Great Tusk taken out by the Dazzling Gleam with its non-existent defenses. And Sada's gonna send out the Roaring Moon and the Walking Wake. Dual Wing Beat doing 35 and 37% to Roaring Moon as it sets up a Tailwind. Hydro Steam takes out the Aerodactyl. Dazzling Gleam takes out the Roaring Moon with a crit. And Steven sends out the Deoxys. Sada sends out the Fluttermane. Fluttermane goes Terra Ghost. Shadow Ball takes out the Deoxys. Hydro Steam does 19% to Carbink. Dazzling Gleam does 27 to Walking Wake, 13 to Fluttermane. And it's now a 2v2 Excadrill and Carbink versus Fluttermane and Walking Wake. Excadrill goes protect. Shadow Ball takes out the Carbink. Hydro Steam lands into that protect. Shadow Ball takes out the Excadrill, popping the Air Balloon too. And with 2 Pokemon remaining, Sada takes game number 3, which means she is our winner for match number 63. She'll be going on to round 3, where she'll be facing off against the winner of match 106. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.